Paige, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today is my first video with my face in it. We're going to be doing a Q&A video today, and this is the first of my vlogging experience. So I asked for questions about a month ago on my social media, and then I did it again the other night. So I've got questions from people that I'm going to answer today. So let's get going. I don't have a lot of free time, I must admit. I'm at university, so I've been here for 4 years now, so I've kind of done all the clubbing and the partying and the drinking and all that. So now if I get any free time, I like to just sit in bed and sleep and chill. I read, I've started doing painting, I've started relearning how to play the keyboard, so I do that. But I'm pretty busy a lot of the time. I work about 2 jobs, and then I've got 2 volunteering things, and then everything else that I do. So I don't get a lot of free time. But when I do, I just sleep. So I originally started working with the BBC 3, that was about 2 years ago. And I got recommended from someone at my uni in a different uni that had heard of me. And sort of with TV, once you start doing things, other people hear about you and it's easier to get more things. Most of the stuff I've been scouted for, or I've had producers seen me on other things and then invite me to do things with them. The documentary that I've done and is coming out in August, the university actually put me forward for that, so that's how I got to do that. I was way out of my league. There's like 18,000 students at our university and I got picked to do it, so it was absolutely amazing, and it just opens doors to do more things, and you start making connections and meeting people, and then your name pops up in conversations, and that's kind of how it's all worked out. I have had other contacts and other people asking me to do other things, but when it comes to the media, you have to be really careful. I've signed quite a few contracts to say I'm not allowed to say certain things or talk about certain things, so I've had to turn quite a few things down because I don't want to get sued. But the university, they have a media team, so if I ever need to talk to someone, I can talk to them. And if I'm talking about a certain company, all companies kind of have what you can and can't say, and sometimes I've been contacted by people, especially like the media reporting, wanting to get stories and undercover information and something that I'm not really allowed to talk about, or I'm not the right person to talk about, or they're just looking for a really good story. So the things I've done are the things that I think are good, and I've taken advice on it, because I don't want to get in trouble. But that's how I got on TV, just being seen. This is the question I get asked the most, because obviously university's full-time, and then I do everything else, and I don't really have an answer. I'm not really sure how I managed to do it all. I am tired 24/7, I do get stressed a lot. I do have days where I have God knows how much on. The other day I was working 3 different jobs in one day, and it was just horribly stressful. I think good time management. I have in the past put probably extra like curricular activities in front of uni work, which isn't the best thing to do, but you know, for example, the documentary in August, I literally got a call and was like, can you do this tomorrow? And it was either that or do this thing for uni, and it's kind of like an experience you're never really going to get again. So I try and prioritise it, and I do my work as much as I can, but most of the stuff I'm doing, I love what I do and I find it fun. It's not really a chore. Like if I put on an event, I really like doing it, so it's part of my free time, and I'm not having to balance things because that's what I like doing. So that's how I tend to balance it, and I nap a lot. That keeps me going. I was looking for a part-time job, and I was disclosing that I was struggling with a mental health condition at the time. Just because if I got the job, that people could work around it and I can get extra support. And nobody wanted to hire me. I was really desperate for a job as well, so I thought, let me just take it out and just pretend it's not there. And then all of a sudden I was getting all these interviews and people were really interested in hiring me, and that was the first time I thought, oh wow, like that is pure discrimination, and people aren't allowed to do that. But I just find it's easier to be open anyway, so that when I get the job they know and they can like have precautions in place and stuff. I found when I first started struggling, mostly in college, a little bit in secondary school, but no one really understood what it was in secondary school, so it didn't really matter. No one discriminated against it because they didn't know what it was. But in college, my first year was amazing and I was really bubbly and I had loads of friends and everything was going great. And then I started to become really depressed. I didn't really understand it back then, but I was really low. I started to isolate myself. And the people that I told, my friends, and I straight up told, I was like, I have depression. They're not my friends anymore, and they weren't really my friends at the end of university either. I kind of faded a bit. I like crumbled and nobody noticed, and I remember crying to my mum, and I would just say like, look, I have no friends anymore, I don't know how to talk to people anymore, I feel really alone. And she said to just tell them why. She was like, they probably think that you no longer like them, so just be open and tell them. And I put out a message to my close friends telling them, and nothing really changed from that. I never got my friendship group back. No one really spoke to me that much after. There was a few improvements, but it was nothing major, and it really put this idea in my head that if you're struggling and you have friends and you tell your friends, they're no longer going to be your friends. And when you've got a condition that makes you feel isolated and lonely, and then your friends go up and leave and you are physically lonely and isolated, it just crumbles all together and it's horrible. And that really affected me going into university. I was really nervous about making friends, talking to my friends about how I was feeling, because I had an impression that if you told someone, they would just get up and leave. And that's sort of what happened in college. You know, when I ended college, I didn't really have any friends. I remember going to pick up my results for my final A-levels, and I was too scared to go on my own because I thought everyone that hated me, so I had to take my mum for support. Our last ever exam, it was either English or psychology, and I remember being in a small room and I got taken out the main exams, and mine finished a little earlier, and I remember running to the bus so I didn't have to see anyone because I just felt awkward around everyone. I felt like I was known as the girl that was like really loud and lively, and then all of a sudden just started acting odd, and it was really, really hard. I hated second year of college. That's when I started, you know, taking medication, starting to self-harm. It was horrible. So I had that, and I felt that I was stigmatized. I don't know if the people meant it. Sometimes you tell people and they don't know how to deal with it, so they cut you off because they just don't know what to say. But university's been a different experience. I openly talk to people and I openly tell people. I still struggle. My condition, my mental health condition, is borderline personality disorder, and they kind of look at that one as like a lifetime condition. I still struggle because I'm human. plus the mental health stuff. So a lot of people look at what I do and they're like, oh, I want to be like you, I want to go through all this bad stuff and then be great again at the end. And it's just like, I still have things going on. I think it's also bad to compare yourself to other people. Everyone's on their own journey. Some people take a long time to get over things, some people don't. I've done that a lot of times with people who take medication. I've had people who are struggling in uni and they take antidepressants, and within 6 months they're off them and they're doing great, and that's fabulous. But I find myself comparing myself to them, thinking, you know, I was meant to do that, and it's like 4 years later and I'm still on them and I can't come off them. I've tried twice and I can't do it. So I do still struggle, and I do still have times where I get upset. I still relapse a lot. That's kind of a part of my journey, but I deal with things a lot better than I used to. I understand myself. I'm not, you know, 16 years old going through puberty, not knowing what the world's like, and then having something extra. So I understand myself a bit more. But I still have days where I struggle. I'm just a lot better. I change my mind every 30 seconds about this, but I think most people my age do. I would love to work in the mental health sector, work with victims of sexual assault, maybe in higher education and support. I've always wanted to work with kids, but since I've been in university, that's like another avenue that's open for me. But I really changed my mind. I like to be like an activist full time. That'd be really cool. Or like an influencer, because you can do that now apparently. So that would be really, really cool. But I never want to give up, you know, shouting my opinion and doing this stuff, and it'd be nice to go into more like practical work. So options are open. Yes, it's impacted my friendship life a lot. Dating life, I think it used to affect it a lot. So when I was first getting into relationships and dating, I was really, really struggling, and I couldn't date because I couldn't look after myself, never mind it being a relationship. So at the beginning, like my first ever relationship was great until I started to get really, really ill, and it kind of turned into like a carer. It was toxic, and in the end it was horrible. But nowadays not so much. I understand myself a lot more. I used to be quite a pushover. I would act really confident, but I really wasn't. Nowadays, like, you can't push me over at all. I've got my confidence now. So it kind of does in a way of like, I have borderline personality, and a lot of people talk about that, and they talk about the idea of relationships, and I've been told by doctors and professionals that I'll probably never be able to have a full-time long relationship because I have BPD, which is just bullshit. So I don't find it affects it that much. The main thing it affects is I'm always busy doing things, so I don't have time anymore to go out and date and all that stuff. But if I talk to someone and they ask about me and what I do, I always mention mental health because it is like a big part of what I do. It's a big part of my course, my work, things I do in the line. Like, I have a tattoo, I can't really cover it up, and if I'm talking and I feel like they are really anti it, or they don't understand it, or anything like that, then I just cut them off, because I don't really need anyone like that. Like, it's a package deal. You've got me, what I do, and my condition. We come together. This year has been great in terms of achieving things. I've done some really cool things. Biggest achievement, I think we have, like, at Sussex University, we have like an awards evening, and I got nominated for 2 awards and then another nomination for my society, and I won the 2 individual ones, and that for me was fabulous. It was like the best night of my life, and I walked away with these 2 awards, and I was really, really happy. That, or like being in the Tabs top 250 power list was really cool. I think probably winning the awards was my biggest achievement, because it meant the most to me, because it was a university thing, it was a student thing, students had nominated me, and it was about community spirit and welfare, which is what I've worked hard to kind of promote around campus. So it meant a lot to me, and I think that was probably my biggest achievement. My top advice for life is don't give a crap what anybody thinks of you, because if you do, you live your life trying to please other people, and I spent my whole life doing that because that's what I thought you were meant to do. You know, I've done it a lot in dating. I've liked a guy and I've completely changed who I am to suit that person, or a friend, just to be friends with them and be the friend that they want, and it just makes you miserable. So don't live your life trying to please other people. You know, speak your mind. If you like something that no one else likes, who cares? You like it. It's what makes you unique. So don't bother about what people think. I mean, I've learned that no matter what you say, no matter what you do, people are going to judge you anyway, so you might as well just do what you want. And since I've been living like that, I've been so much happier. Thank you so much for watching my Q&A. I really, really enjoyed it. Thank you everyone who submitted questions. So as I said, I'm going to start vlogging on YouTube, and this was like my first video. I've got loads that I'm currently editing and planning at the moment. So make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Thank you.